Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to the Best Darn Diddly Review Show. This is a weekly podcast for anyone who loves The Simpsons, or ever has loved The Simpsons, hosted by two dudes that grew up on The Simpsons. My name is Miles, better known as Mr. Most Days Off, and today we are Roll Tide? I don't watch sports. I know that's a thing from, I don't know, Alabama, I want to say? I know who will know. That, of course, is your co-host with the most, Richie the Whiz Kid. How you doing today, Rich?
I was doing okay until you brought Alabama in on it. I'm not the huge Alabama person, but we can at least Simpsons Tide today, I guess. But not of the pod variety, because that would kill us. Don't do that, people. So, yeah, this is a great way to...
Things are grim out there. That might be the right move. I don't know.
Right. Oh, well, things are starting off a little dark today, so I guess let's just keep on rolling with this ship to tie it back to what you said earlier. I'll throw it back to you, the man, the myth, the country's 17th line of defense. It is Miles.
Oh, you better pray those first 16 don't fail, people. We are talking about Simpsons Tide today, which is another unique Season 9 episode, because this episode, while airing on March 29th, 1998, was actually made in 1995 under the previous showrunners from a while back, Mike Reiss and Al Jean.
Crazy stuff happening today, people.
So this is a holdover episode. We've already had a holdover with Bill Oakley and Josh Weinstein's Lisa the Simpson, and now we are at Simpsons Tide, which I just thought it was somewhat interesting that episode was held for 3 years. They didn't really explain entirely why it was held over so long, whereas usually it seems those holdover episodes are aired the next season.
Yeah, it's more like a holdover.
This episode's commentary did feature commentary by Mike Reiss and Al Jean, and Mike Reiss does explicitly talk about how this is his last commentary and last contribution to The Simpsons ever, but he told us that was the case when he reviewed Sherry Boppins with us, so he might be back, you don't know. The Mike Reiss from 15 years ago when that commentary was recorded might be wrong. We might see him pop in for another commentary, as Al Jean himself even suggest on the commentary. We have a chalkboard here, classic Mike and Al style, of course. We have a full chalkboard, full credits. The chalk gag is "My butt does not deserve a website." And the couch gag was really cool here, because it was very much in the art style of the Rocky and Bullwinkle cartoons. Yeah. I used to love Rocky and Bullwinkle when I was a kid, watched it all the time, and this kind of crossover, obviously a much older show, much different animation style, but really cool to kind of see them pay homage or pay a little tribute to that.
Yeah, it was very cool opening. I enjoyed it.
And we also, in very kind of Mike and Al style, we have an opening that more or less has nothing to do with the rest of the episode at all. Because I
don't know. He's standing in front of a council being reprimanded, which will happen at the end of the episode.
Okay, that's fair. I'll give you that.
I know that's a stretch.
That's fair, though. Honestly, that's more of a connection than I was able to make. So, well done, sir. Homer is actually chained, though. He's chained up in the court that is completely made up of talking donuts.
Homer Simpson, you stand accused of eating half the population of the planet of the donuts.
And another donut pops in, who's actually representing Homer. As Homer's defense attorney, I feel like we should be merciful. Hey, did you just take a bite out of me?
Maybe.
So Homer is obviously dreaming here in this moment, but he only ends the dream after he is eaten by a large brown ball of, like, it's like the Langoliers?
Yeah. The teeth do resemble that.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody watched that made-for-TV miniseries on the Sci-Fi Channel in the 90s, but if you did, then congrats, you got that reference.
Very obscure today, we are.
Turns out he was just taking a nap in good old Sector 7G, And he actually gets woken up that Lenny's shaking him to let him know it's time for their coffee break, but there's only one donut left. But Homer has an idea. You see, they have access to the reactor core, and by exposing it to radiation, they could enlarge it.
Ooh, that's exactly how that works.
I don't know a lot about nuclear power, but I feel like that's how nuclear power works.
Hey, you said it right there. Oh my
Nuclear.
gosh, I knew it would be this episode that you said it wrong every time, but you said it right once.
It's hard to keep track sometimes.
I'm going to make that my text message too.
So Homer actually does, he drops it into some glowing green goo, and 10
minutes later.
The next thing we see, the entire plant is basically on fire. Smithers is in a radiation suit, and he finds the charred remains of Homer's donuts.
Which I'm surprised there's even any charred remains of it.
Right? Especially it's made, honestly, I think it would dissolve in water, let alone, nuclear waste.
Sir, we found the problem. Some idiot threw this in the reactor core.
See? Success!
You did this? How could you be so irresponsible?
It's my first day.
Since I've never seen you before, maybe it is your first day. Very well, carry on.
Honestly, I love the idea here that Homer essentially uses the fact that his boss never recognizes him against him. It's a little smart for Homer, honestly.
Yep.
But Smithers is quick to point out, "Sir, that's Homer Simpson. He's been working here for 10 years.
Oh, really? Why did you think you could lie to me?
It's my first day."
Well, why didn't you say that? Oh, Yahoo! That's a weird word. You're fired!
So, we see back at the Simpsons' home, Homer is now in his pajamas, watching TV on the couch, while Lisa reads Junior Skeptic magazine at his feet, though I do want to point out real quick that Junior Skeptic magazine is in fact a real magazine. We talked about it on this podcast in the past, but it actually at this time was coming bound into every copy of Skeptic magazine.
Ooh.
Fun stuff, yeah.
Yeah. I want to point out that I always use the "it's my first day" thing. Anytime someone says, anytime someone's like, "Well, I think that's wrong," I'll be like, "Yeah, it's my first day."
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
We hear on the television an announcement comes on. The proud men and women of the Navy are fighting for freedom. But you're in Lubbock, Texas, hosing stains off a monument. You're in the Naval Reserves, America's 17th line of defense between the Mississippi National Guard and the League of Women's Voters. After basic training, you'll only have to work 1 weekend a month, and most of that time, you're drunk off your ass.
To be clear, the League of Women Voters is actually the 16th line of defense. Sorry, Mississippi.
Thank you for amending that.
Yeah.
I
see what you did there.
Thanks. So, of course, this sounds like Homer's dream job, and he immediately heads to the recruitment office, where he has a recruiter telling him to just fill out this form, and you're on your way to the reserve.
There's a question that's crossed out.
Well, due to a recent presidential order, we're not allowed to ask that particular question.
I think I can make it out. Are you a homosexual?
For God's sakes, don't answer that! I could go to jail!
But I'm not a...
La 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 la. I'm not listening! La 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 la.
Nice fella. I wonder if he's gay.
Oh, I love this interaction so much. So this is a bit of a dated reference to some extent, especially since this aired 3 years after it was written. But the policy they're talking about here is essentially don't ask, don't tell. Prior to this, being a homosexual in the military was basically illegal. But the government decided they still wanted to be able to murder their civilians in the fake sake of freedom. So they wanted to be able to kill the gay Americans too. So we decided just to not ask that question, and therefore we can murder all of our citizens fairly.
So you're saying equal rights goes both ways?
Sorry, I'm in a mood today, y'all. I apologize.
Okay.
But yeah, that's Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and I do love, though, just, like, the spin on it. Like, Homer just doesn't care, which is so wonderful in this, and, like, at the end, just like, I wonder if he's gay. Really fun.
I mean, he learned a lot from John recently, so.
Yeah, actually, that's a interesting, point in the if this is chronological, of course.
Unless that episode was made before the other one, and therefore my head's going in circles.
Yeah, right? We don't know that all. Plus, we don't even know if the Simpsons are in chronological order, like in the Simpsons universe. As we know, there's a lot of time.
Chronological order?
Probably. Speaking of, maybe that'll make me in a better mood. And when Homer gets home, he's very much pro-Navy, but Marge is already having a few concerns. Homie, I really don't think this Navy thing is a good idea. What if you get called into combat?
Not to worry, honey. We live in a highly technological age where fighting a war is as simple as turning off a light.
And to demonstrate, Homer is trying to use the clapper to turn the light off, but Marge has to point out, we don't have a clapper.
Sorry, I can't hear you, Marge. I'm clapping.
And since it doesn't work, Homer just throws the lamp out the window instead.
I also used that gag after watching Simpsons, like a lot of people did back in the 90s, where whenever I leave a room, I try to clap to turn off the lights.
Yeah. You used to do that at our apartment all the time.
Okay, in the 2000s as well.
In the year 2000. Yeah. So, Homer's off to the bar to tell his friends, guys, I won't be seeing you for a while.
Where are you going?
I've joined the Naval Reserve.
Well, I'm not gonna let anything happen to my best friend. I'm joining too. I thought he was in the army.
Yeah. Well, I'm not gonna let anything happen to my two best customers. I'm joining too.
And although my religion strictly forbids military service, what the hey, I'm in too.
So, Apu, Mo, Barney, and Homer toast and cheers their mugs together, as they're all going to enter the Navy Reserves together.
I'm pretty sure Barney will learn in the future was in the military in the Army branch, so I don't know how that... Can you be in the Army and the Navy? I don't know how that works.
Don't think you can, but I don't... Is it like switching schools? Like, is it like transferring colleges?
I thought you took like a test and they told you what branch of the military to go to. I don't know. We're stupid idiots.
They do this big old, like, send-off moment like you would see in, like, any military movie where, like, they're shipping out. Only... Just like Deer Hunter. The Deer Hunter? Ah, that reminds me. And we see Mo actually runs into the back where Principal Skinner and Krusty are sitting across the table from tough-looking Asians all around, and they have tough-looking Asians all around them.
And one of Fat Tony's goons. One of the guys in there was one of Fat Tony's goons.
Are they playing Russian roulette? Is that what's happening?
I don't know what the game is because I've never seen the Deer Hunter, but that's the assume famous scene. The Diddy Mao. But
Mo interrupts. I'm sorry, guys. We're shutting down for a while. Sorry. I love too, though. Like it seems like this big old like hubbubaloo for a send off, and then Homer's like, "See you in a week."
Good luck, Dad. Although I'm morally opposed to the military-industrial complex of which you are now a part.
Aw, that's sweet, honey. I'll bring you back a hat. Bart wants something a little more than that, though. He asked for a torpedo.
No.
But Flanders got his kids torpedoes.
Oh, he did he? I'll show him. I'll bring you a weapon of unimaginable destructive power.
Homer?
But only if you're good. Even if you're not.
So Homer arrives at boot camp and meets his drill sergeant.
All right, you thumb-sucking worms, let's get one thing straight. Your mamas ain't here to help you.
Mine is! And we see basically Barney, but like with female features. And she even belches like Barney. It's a family belch.
Yep. The family belchers. Oh!
I absolutely love the next scene. It's again another... This whole movie, by the way, I forgot to mention, is a parody of the movie Crimson Tide. But it really works for almost any military movie. There's so many so many scenes that are very cliche to that
Major
genre.
Payne in the Army now.
I literally just watched Major Payne. That movie holds up, y'all. Go watch Major Payne. But anyway, they're doing the whole...
Jane.
I haven't seen that in a while, but I used to like that movie too. Anyway, The Simpsons, Richie. The Simpsons also did
Full
it.
Metal Jacket.
They are doing the classic losing your hair scene, getting your hair cut with the buzz cut, but Homer's protesting, "No way,
Child's Play
man! My hair is who I am." Bzzz. I'm a freak!
Everyone else looks completely different, but actually he looks different too. It's very
He
noticeable.
looks different. It's very noticeable because we're so
funny.
used to seeing the 3 strands of hair on his head, but you know. Or is it 2 strands of hair on his head? It's 2 strands of hair on his head.
I thought it was 2.
It was 3 before the last child.
Apparently, Miles needs to listen to some podcast or go back and watch each episode in order.
What
to
do I
remember
know?
How many hairs are on his head?
So the drill sergeant is inspecting everybody. Tuck in that shirt. Shine those shoes, mister. And when he gets to Homer, oh, for the love of...
He's got a beer hat on his head.
Yeah, it's like one of those beer sipping hats, yeah.
Yeah. Seagull took my sailor hat.
All right, Simpson. I don't like you and you don't like me.
I like you.
All right. You don't like me, but I don't like you.
Maybe you would like me if you got to know me.
What are you, a comedian?
Well, I'm no Margaret Cho, but I do a pretty fair Columbo impression.
And we actually see him turn his back for a second before coming back around.
One more sip. I should get a glass of water.
Alright, I'm not gonna lie, this reference is completely lost on me.
Yeah, me too.
Awesome. If you got this reference, congrats, you enjoyed this episode more than we did. No, I like this episode, I just didn't get that joke.
I think my dad got that joke way back when.
That would make sense. I definitely think that would make sense, actually. So we see, they're learning to like tie knots on the boat, I want to say is the next scene.
Yeah, he's supposed to tie the boat to the dock.
There, the perfect sheep shank.
Very nice, Simpson. But next time, tie the other end to the ship.
And we see the boat is actually like drifting out and over a waterfall.
Because it's right there.
Yeah, terrible place to build a dock, by the way. Somehow, some way, though, all of them make it successfully into the Naval Reserve. The graduates throw their sailor hats into the air, no, I'm sorry. It's they get confused with pastry chef graduates. So they like get their hats mixed up.
Well, no, it's 3. There's the Navy graduation, then it cuts to the chef graduation, then it cuts to the World War I reenactors graduation.
There it is. Yeah,
different hats. And the joke is the World War I, they'll all have I forgot what the hat's called, with the pointy top on it, and they throw it in the air, and it all turns upside down and starts coming back down at them.
It's always like, congratulations, sailors, you're all in the Naval Reserve, and then, congratulations, you are all pastry chefs.
Congratulations, you are all World War I historical recreationists.
And this is our ending of the first act, so pretty quickly we went from Homer being fired to him successfully completing training in the Navy Reserve. That all happened in 6.5 minutes.
I mean, but Homer is good at getting other jobs constantly, so...
Yeah, it's true. This is like his 80th... This is like, the almost 200th episode of The Simpsons at this point, and probably his, 400th job.
Pickle Hob? That's the name of that hat.
There you go. The more you know.
You learned something today.
Do-do-do. Act 2 actually opens up with Bart and Milhouse waiting for the school bus. Milhouse has actually got an earring, which is unusual to see with this character that we know to be somewhat of a nerd.
Milhouse, my mom wears earrings. Do you think she's cool?
No, I think she's hot. Sorry, it just slipped out. I get it, Milhouse.
Yeah.
Wow.
She's no mod, but...
We'll actually get a little show with her later.
Mod?
No, with Marge in the bedroom.
Oh, okay.
The scene with her and Homer. We'll get
I was
there
like,
shortly.
what episode did you watch, Miles? What website were you on?
Sometimes I get my websites confused.
My butt does not need a website or whatever.
Wait, are there not 3 X's in the links that you watch? So the school bus pulls up and Milhouse gets on first, and then as soon as he gets on, the rest of the kids notice his earring and go silent.
Hey, look! Milhouse has an earring!
And to Bart's surprise, it actually makes him cool. Like, hey, if you want...
Milhouse.
Like, yeah, he's being cheered for and everything, but Bart decides that he can't let his friend outdo him. Hey, if you want cool, check this out. And he actually starts to do the Bartman, which might be another sign of this episode being 3 years old at this point.
Sing it, Miles.
Everybody, if you can, do the Bartman. Shake your body, turn it out. If you can, do the Bartman. Yeah!
Crickets.
That is so 1991.
Ralph got him.
Right? Burned by Ralph.
Just after they were like the best of friends a week ago.
Yeah, that's right. They were breaking into school. I guess Ralph became cool in that week, so now he's cool enough that he can roast Bart a little bit.
Ooh.
Social pecking order, man.
From a distance.
At school, we see Milhouse and Bart are hanging out on the jungle gym when they're confronted by Skinner.
Young man, the school dress code specifically forbids the wearing of earrings unless you're of gypsy abstraction.
Well, I'm a gypsy.
Oh, really? Prove it.
I want to suck your blood.
Uh-huh. That's a vampire. But, they're also covered. Carry on.
This is just such a random joke. I really think it's funny, but it's just so out of, it's just out of nowhere. They go from gypsy to vampire.
Because what other direction could they go? That he gets yelled at even more? That wouldn't be funny.
Right? Yeah. It's just so off the wall, though. That's one of those jokes that you kind of wish you would have been in the writer's room. Like, to hear it pitched.
Hear the pitches? Yeah.
We also see a man, we cut to a man in an eye patch who is clearly part of the veterans of unpopular wars that they're attending. Along with his father, Homer also is visiting his father in this moment.
Lost this eye in Haiti. I was drinking a Mai Tai and I forgot to take the little parasol out.
That's not a war story. I'll tell you a war story. I was on PT-109 with John F. Kennedy. I was the first to discover his terrible secret.
Doodaloo, 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 doodaloo. Ich bin ein Berliner.
And that causes Abe to think that John F. Kennedy was a Nazi. He's a Nazi! Get him!
And then the crew starts beating the crap out of him.
This is actually a reference to one of JFK's very famous speeches that he gave. He gave that one on June 26, 1963 in West Berlin. I want to say that was the speech where he also said, Mr. Gorbachev, tear that wall down, or, I'm paraphrasing.
On PT-109 was the actual boat that he was stationed on, too. Isn't that the one that, sank?
I don't know, and I might be crossing this. I have it up right now on the Google machine. That is definitely from his speech that he gave on June 26, 1993 in West Berlin. I don't know if it is still the same one.
No, that's Ronald Reagan's the one that gave that speech. The tear down the wall?
President John... yeah, you're right. I'm tripping. John F. Kennedy gave that one on June 26, 1963 in West Berlin, and it was in regards to the Cold War.
Okay.
My bad.
Sorry, you're confusing me.
No, that's my fault. You're definitely the history major of the two of us, so thanks for clearing that up.
The more you don't learn on the show today.
Yeah, dude. Aren't we supposed to be talking about cartoons?
So, in real life, they all beat the crap out of Kennedy on PT-109. It's Abe's fault. Let's just go with that.
Yeah, there we go.
Sorry, John.
So, we see that is this... Sorry, I'm trying to find my place in the script. That's where we cut to the Naval Reserve tour with Bob Denver.
Yes.
Yeah. Bob Denver is dressed as Gilligan, and he is addressing all the sailors. And another thing, when people come up to me and say, "Hey, little buddy," and hit me over the head with a hat, that's not funny. That hurts. Stop laughing at me!
You know, Marge, joining the reserves was the best thing I ever did. I feel good about myself, I'm helping my country, and later, I'm going to get Gilligan's autograph.
I'm so proud of you, homie.
Then I'll whomp him with my hat.
Ow! So we cut from here to go. We have very limited B plot, but it's for very good reason. We'll find out later. We cut back to Bart, who is now at the mall, where almost every store that he's passed is being closed down and being replaced with a soon-to-be-open Starbucks.
Yeah, which, again, for our day and age back then was very, very true.
Well, I think Starbucks are still relatively everywhere, but like at that time in the 90s, it felt like literally they were everywhere, and a lot of it was because you weren't used to seeing them yet. But when they first started sprouting up, they had a very aggressive distribution, or like, you know, spreading out franchising model or whatever.
One every block and a half down the road.
Dude, there are still places where there are Starbucks that are like across the street from each other. In Louisville, where I live, there is a Target that has a Starbucks inside of it and a Starbucks in the parking lot.
I wonder if they compete with each other. Probably not, because everybody goes to shop at Target and has money, and they just go in there and get it while they're there, and then everybody outside just stops at the one outside.
You'll notice there are not two Starbucks at Walmart. Bart actually passes all of these soon-to-be Starbucks, though, and enters a store called In-N-Out Piercing.
Can I help you?
I'd like to get my ear pierced.
Well, better make it quick, kiddo. In 5 minutes, this place is becoming a Starbucks.
So, Bart gets his ear pierced, and he gets a single diamond-shaped stud as his earring.
Gotta be a CZ, right?
I would think so. I don't think diamonds were that cheap in the 90s.
I mean, but I'm just wondering if Bart has some scam going where he's got a ton of money.
It's maybe he's using Santos Little Helper or Helper's credit card.
It was back in, yeah, we can keep going to that well. Gotcha.
Boom. Bart's happy to show off his new Sparkle, but Homer very quickly becomes angry.
Bart!
And Lisa is just almost impressed to some... no, she's not impressed at all, sorry. She's actually saying how an earring, how rebellious, in a conformist sort of way.
What on earth possessed you to get an earring?
Milhouse has one.
If Milhouse jumped off a cliff...
Milhouse jumped off a cliff? I'm there!
Get back here, boy. You're a disgrace to this family and its proud naval tradition.
Well, I'm keeping this earring, and you can't stop me.
Oh, I always thought Lisa would be the one to get her ears pierced.
Ooh, can I?
No!
But at this point, why wouldn't Lisa just go do it? I mean, like, she can clearly see there's not really any repercussion.
In a conformist sort of way.
Bart is super proud to show off his new earring at the school, but unfortunately he's found out that he's pretty much late to the party because literally everyone, even Ralph, has an earring now. And they all have, like, the same single diamond stud, or CZ stud.
Well, no, there's people that had, like, I think Nelson had a little hoop. Ralph had, like, some kind of animal star-shaped ornament that caught on his shirt. So there's some people that have some differences.
That's fair. A lot of them have the single stud, though. Either way, is no longer cool.
And Ralph's actually caught with a crooked head here. My neck hurts and my ear hurts. I have two
owies. I love that line. We cut back to Homer and his fellow cadets at the Navy, where they are going to be learning about the upcoming naval war games. Now, Simpson, because of your many years as a nuclear technician, we're putting you on a nuclear sub.
Nuclear. It's pronounced nuclear.
Whatever. I love that drives you crazy so much. Later, Homer says goodbye to his family in the rain before he's off to do the war games.
Be careful, Dad.
Oh, Lisa, it's just war games. It's not like a game could hurt me. We get like kind of this like imagination sequence from inside Homer's head where he's getting beat up by Rock'em Sock'em robots.
Can't we all just get along?
But Homer is quickly brought back to real life by Marge.
Are you sure you'll be okay?
We have orders not to fire on anyone but Greenpeace. Well, I guess that's everyone, except Earring Boy.
Come on, Dad. Didn't you ever do anything wild when you were a kid?
Well, when I was 10, I got my ear pierced, but this is completely different.
Fine. You want it? Take it.
And we see that Homer pockets his son's earring, and Bart kind of storms off angrily.
Oh, it's time! Here we go! Yes!
On the USS Jebediah, we hear an announcement. Attention on deck! Captain Tennille wishes to address you.
I'm a man of few words. Any questions?
Is the poop deck really what I think it is?
I like the cut of your jib.
What's a jib?
Promote that man.
Nothing could go wrong here. Of course, Captain Tennille is a reference to the 1970s band, the rock duo as they're listed, Captain and Tennille.
Ooh. We're learning all kinds of truths in this one, or fake truths, or real truths, or historical truths.
You probably learned something. If nothing else, you've learned that we're both very, very dumb.
Yay!
We see the sub is actually sailing across the surface. They're not actually dropping just yet, and Captain Tennille is explaining the naval tradition while smoking a cigar.
The Navy has a fine sense of tradition. Whenever an American vessel leaves port, the crew sings this ancient sea shanty. 1, 2, 3, 4.
In the Navy. In the Navy. Do, 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 do. Yeah, I don't know the words to that song. It's not the YMCA for crying out loud. But it is the Village People singing their famous hit, and we actually have them, they're like dancing and performing on the deck of the submarine. Along with like
Smithers.
Yeah, Smithers is really a fan, you can tell. He follows them to all their shows, even the private Navy ones. But of course, this is really, really funny when the captain flicks his cigar into the sea. Well, I guess ocean pollution isn't hilarious, but the captain flicks his cigar into the
Good
sea.
save.
And then the Navy men all go down, the seamen, if you will, all go down into the submarine, and it actually starts to submerge with the Village People still on top of the deck. And you just get this kind of bubbling water before an American, a hard hat, a Native American headdress, and a policeman or cowboy hat. Basically, the Village People's clothing and hat starts to float to the surface.
Morbid.
Super dark joke, but really funny.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear that? The whales are hungry, Homer. Join us.
Thank you.
Tell me, young man, what do you want out of life?
I want peace.
Homer's like reaching across the table trying to scoop them. We all want peace, but it's always just out of reach.
Uh-huh.
So, what's the best way to get peace?
With the knife.
And Homer's literally trying to use his butter knife to like scoop them onto his plate. Exactly, Simpson! Not with the olive branch, but with the bayonet. Ha! Ha! Simpson, you're like the son I never had.
And you're like the father I never visit.
A female officer it's a great scene. It's a great scene.
I think it's a scene that probably stands out in my mind more than any other in this episode, just from like my earlier viewings of the episode years and years ago. I just always loved the confusion.
Peace confusion joke is just so brilliant and so simple, and like you said, it's something you can definitely appreciate as a child all the way through adulthood.
Yep.
We see a female officer enter and tries to get the attention of Captain Tennille. Sir, I was running a diagnostic and there was an obstruction in torpedo tube number 1.
I'll take care of it. Oh, what the hell. Simpson, while I'm gone, you're in command.
What could possibly go wrong with that? Everybody, including Homer, is like, me? Him? Ugh.
Yes! Maybe it's the salt water in my veins or the nitrogen bubbles in my brain, but I've taken a real shine to you.
Honestly, I've been resisting a lot of jokes, but this next sequence is my favorite joke in the entire episode. Because Captain Tennille opens the torpedo tube, which he's found, I think it's Barney Gumble, has basically been completely filling with trash. He's trying to wake Barney up, but his mother explains you gotta poke him with a stick.
Mom, I don't want to go to school today.
Oh, for God's sake. So Captain Tennille actually climbs into the torpedo bay where he's pulling out like bags of chips and beer and just all the things you'd expect Barney to be sneaking in on the job.
See, I always pictured it, like, I kind of pictured that Barney did a lot of that, but I also pictured it as being like, everybody just knows that's what you do with that one. Because it's an awful lot.
It's a ton, that's true, but Barney drinks a lot.
That's true as well.
And as the captain is climbing into this torpedo bay, back on the deck, we see that Homer is actually having to answer his first, or, basically give his first command as the officer in charge of the submarine. These poor, poor people.
To point out, though, Mo must have done a really good job in basic training, because Mo's there. Is he the navigator? I don't know what Mo is, but he's on the bridge.
He's on the bridge and he's monitoring the radar. I think that's like, because he's seeing basically the things that they're approaching, and they're going to come into contact with another submarine in just 15...
A yellow submarine?
It's only 15 seconds to collision, and they have to have a decision.
What would the captain say in my spot?
And we cut back to where we can see the captain fishing garbage out of the tube as Captain Tennille yells, "Don't fire the torpedoes!"
Fire the torpedoes!
And of course, immediately after, Homer gives that very command. This is the sequence I'm talking about. The captain literally gets shot up against the other submarine, but my favorite part by far is the other submarine is like, "We've been hit by an officer!"
Return fire.
So the other ship's admiral or captain, leader, officer in charge decides that they need to retaliate in the same measure. So his crew starts to grab him and load him into the torpedo bay as he.
Not me.
Yeah, the torpedoes.
So Homer killed the captain, right?
Yeah, the captain's clearly dead. If the collision didn't kill him, he's unconscious and will drown soon.
Yes.
So the return ship, though, after the tragic death of the captain that we never acknowledge again, the other submarine returns fire. A torpedo hits Homer's sub, and immediately they start losing power and losing backup power. We're down to mood lighting here.
I'm sorry, but when you said Homer sub, I'm picturing a sandwich.
One that's like been hanging around for a while?
Yes.
That's fair. That's totally fair. I love, though, at the line, "We're down to mood lining here," we actually get mood music to play, and Homer even starts dancing until he gets a harsh look from that female officer. And that actually brings us to the end of our second act, leaving us our third act, where Homer and his crew seem like they are going to be in quite the predicament. We open up in an action sequence. Homer says to Mo, "Damage report, Mr. Mo."
Sonar, out. Navigation, out. Radio, out.
Enough of what's out. What's in?
Ice blended mocha drinks and David Schwimmer.
I think the ice blended mocha drinks is a great callback to all the Starbucks setups earlier. Mm-hmm. Yes, he is a handsome guy in an ugly sort of way.
What are we going to do?
So
I think that's what they say. I don't...
Homer needs a way to get themselves out of this predicament without any equipment because nothing's working. So we see him scribbling on some paper and talking to himself. Carry the 2. All right, I can't waste any more time. People's lives are depending on me. Mr. Sulu,
diminishing around.
Make a left.
Well, he in the picture he was drawing, it was an actual picture. He wasn't doing any math. It was like him escaping the sub or money bags or something. He was
swimming away, yeah.
Yeah. Aye, aye, Captain. Setting course for Rigel 7. I mean, home.
It's great that there actually is a Mr. Sulu ready to answer the call.
I just love that he always calls Mo Mr. Mo.
Mr. Mo. They just... Go ahead.
And so we keep going left. I like the map scene right here, which I know we bring this up every time there's a map or they're like out of town, quote unquote, but it really looks like the Simpsons are on the West Coast here. And this is where Homer starts going left, and you can see the dotted line of them traveling on the map where they're about to make it back to shore, and he goes, never mind, let's go right, and then completely goes the opposite direction.
Way.
But I talked myself out of them possibly living on the West Coast if Homer actually got shipped off to naval training, where like maybe they just got shipped to the West Coast, but I don't know.
Well, I mean, it has been confirmed now it's in Oregon, so it makes sense.
But again, I'm trying to debate all this as without
that knowledge. Yeah.
Cool. And we end up in Russian waters because Homer keeps going the wrong direction
for like a really long time. It would seem, right?
Yeah. Especially on mood lighting only.
We get a TV report later with Kent Brockman.
Well, sir, treason season started early this year as a nuclear sub was hijacked by local man Homer Simpson.
And we see a picture of Homer dressed as a drunk dancing Russian as he pops up on screen. Oh my god!
I told him that photo would come back to haunt him.
How could it not, right?
Could Homer Simpson be a communist? His father spoke out on his behalf.
My Homer is not a communist. He may be a liar, a pig, an idiot, a communist, but he's not a porn star.
We're staying on track, Grandpa.
He might be a communist. We cut to the UN building, of all places, in New York City, where a meeting is in progress.
The Soviet Union will be pleased to offer amnesty to your wayward vessel.
The Soviet Union? I thought you guys broke up.
Yes, that is what we wanted you to think.
So it looks like a lie there has been exposed, and we actually see communist factories start making tanks again, and the Berlin Wall is erected.
And then Lenin rises from the grave.
Must crush capitalism. Zombie Lenin.
All right, so it's Red Dawn Part 2, right? That's what's got to happen now. Let's see Bart in a Red Dawn movie.
Well, Skinner is obviously trying to keep everybody calm, but he has to address the situation. I'll be frank. In the event of nuclear war, we can only save our best and brightest. Therefore, space in the fallout shelter will be reserved for Lisa Simpson, Martin Prince, our championship kickball team, and Sherry, but not Terry.
She looks so upset when she's walking off the stage.
And Nelson's, ha ha!
I like that their parents had no involvement and don't know anything about this.
Especially in the case of the twins. They have 2 conversations that they're going to have a really difficult time getting through.
What do you mean? The parents aren't going to be there. Only the kid gets to be there.
Yeah,
Sherry.
But before all that happens, aren't they going to have a conversation with both? I would think. I don't know. I do know that Barney back on the sub is yelling, Mayday! Mayday! The engine room has sprung a leak. It's filling up with a clear non-alcoholic liquid.
You mean water?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I think this was an American vessel that was on top of them, and they decided to drop depth charges to try to stop them.
So they're firing friendly fire, basically, because Russia agreed not to?
They're trying to prevent a war, I would assume.
Yeah.
With the penguins.
Homer admits to the crew that they're in a tough spot and they may not get out. he tells them that they need to think of their loved ones. We see Mo dreams of a red-colored cat. Apu dreams of a cigarette machine.
That doesn't give people, like, they put money in, and it doesn't give them
their
he
cigarettes.
goes and hugs it.
Homer, however, he starts thinking about his family, and he gets mad by the thoughts of Bart and his earring. That's how he chooses to spend his what might be final moments. But to be fair, Homer's anger might have saved the day, because he realizes that Bart's earring could be exactly what they need to plug the pinhole leak that is causing their problems. And that's exactly what he does. Instead of plugging the earring, or instead of using the earring as an earring, he plugs it into a hole and fixes everything.
The part that's weird to me about this scene is because Homer dives underwater to get into the engine room and then pops up right by the hole. First of all, he had to know exactly where the hole was at, because it's a very small hole if an earring covers it. He plugs the hole, and then when he goes back, everyone's cheering him as he comes up from the water. And I'm like, they're not in the room. How do they know he actually did it?
He had a very confident look on his face.
I guess so.
You saved us, Homer!
Mr. Mo, prepare to surface.
You want to stop calling me Mr. Mo?
No.
The submarine comes up to the surface, the hatch opens, we see everybody pop out. Only when they arrive at the surface, they are surrounded by several other ships, all pointing guns at them.
Attention, Homer Simpson. You have 10 seconds to explain your actions before we open fire.
It's my first day?
Deuces.
But then Homer begins to address the other crews, and he does so in their native languages. He speaks it in Spanish, Chinese, and Penguin.
Which, this is not the last time the penguins will rise up against humans with this particular creator of a television animated show. Because if you remember in Futurama, those penguins will fight back.
Do we need to keep an eye out that there's some sort of, like, secret penguin invasion being plotted throughout all Matt Groening cartoons?
Well, I mean, they tell the future apparently on The Simpsons, so
we need to watch Disenchantment and see if there's any penguins happening in that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
See if it ties across all of them.
Never seen that one, honestly.
Yes, you have.
Oh, Disenchantment. I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about Ella Enchanted.
You got into that show more than I did, to be honest. I thought it was okay. I think you got like really into it.
Second season wasn't as good as first, but I still liked it.
That's fair. This gets a big laugh again when Homer says it's his first day, but we actually see the Admiral address him.
Seaman Simpson, your actions have given the Navy a black eye from which it may never recover. I would throw the book at you. But I've been indicted on the tailhook scandal. Goodbye.
I, too, would punish you, but I'm under indictment for accepting bribes from military contractors.
I torpedoed a Carnival cruise ship.
Impersonating the First Lady. And then Admiral puts on a wig and walks out.
And the last Admiral just was about to speak, but instead he just gets out of there.
Yeah, he's just like, meh, I'm good, I'm out.
Yep.
The janitor actually comes by, though, and is like, hey, I think you're off the hook.
Woohoo!
So, back at home in Springfield, he's reuniting, and Marge is, they're walking home from this hearing, and Marge says, a dishonorable discharge? It's the best we could have hoped for.
You can't spell dishonorable without honorable.
That's another great line. It's the best we could have hoped for. Lisa hugs her father and says that he's a hero.
Well, I couldn't have done it without Bart. Boy, I guess I was wrong about that earring. It saved us all.
Hey, can I get a tattoo that says bite me? You never know when that might come in handy.
I don't think so, son.
King Cobra?
No.
Weapons grade plutonium?
Ask your mother.
Knockout drops?
No.
Ninja Death Stars?
Maybe for Christmas.
And they walk away heading home as the we get like a military orchestra version of the Simpsons theme to take us out into the credits. And Bart is asking for more and more dangerous things of tattoos.
Alrighty.
And that brings us to the end of our third act and to the end of the episode, Simpsons Tide. Richie, was there anything else that you or that book of yours wanted to talk about before we get out of here?
I'm sure you're going to touch on this, but I thought aren't there like quite a bit of like military inaccuracies for the naval section of the military in this episode?
You know, honestly, I'm not that familiar with a lot of military customs, to be completely frank. And you know, in hindsight, we should have got somebody who is in the military to come review this episode with us. Maybe we'll try to get somebody who served in the armed forces. Obviously, the Navy would be preferred, but any branch of the military might help. If like when we do the one where they talk backwards and they're doing like the Navy recruitment videos, I think it's with NSYNC. I thought that's what this episode was going to be, in all honesty. Whenever I announced it on the last one, I even made the joke about it trying to talk in backwards or whatever. I was completely wrong, obviously.
If I remember correctly, because I think even IMDb touches on it briefly, like at least at the time, I don't think females were allowed in the Navy branch. At the time of this airing, that I believe the color of the uniforms.
Well, maybe if it was just like a no ask, don't tell, like being gay, like just don't tell us about your vagina and you can serve.
I think that it even stated the color of the uniforms were wrong, even for like the recruitment officer, and like the way that they did their rank with the symbols on their uniforms was apparently wrong too. So. But again, I think that it's IMDb that stated all that, so we're not military personnel. We don't know for sure, but apparently there were quite a few inaccuracies on that part. But it still added up to hilarious results. This is a fun episode, man. I very much enjoyed this one.
It was very cool getting to have another little slice of the Mike Reese and Al Jean pie. And it's curious to see if that will continue to... I think based on our conversation with Mike Reese and this commentary, this actually really was the last Simpsons episode that Mike Reese was a major part of. But still, you know, as we know, he's still a big part of the show, even to this day.
Absolutely.
Well, that is going to do it for this week's Best Darn Diddly Review Show. As always, make sure you follow the WizKid at @thewiz_kid23. I am at Mr. Most Days Off, but more importantly,
follow our show at Best Darn Diddly. That's DIDDLY.
And make sure you come back again next week. We're going to have another great Simpsons episode to talk about. This one is a Burns-heavy episode, so Richie, have your impression ready. We're going to be talking about The Trouble with Trillions.
And just remember, guys, my Miles is not a communist. He may be a liar, a pig, an idiot, a communist, but he is not a porn star.
Oh, I thought you were going to say podcaster at the end.
Oh, or that.
And of course, until next time, be cromulent to each other.
That would have made sense. I wanted to laugh more, but I tried not.